Welcome to our channel. Today we're diving into a fascinating topic: how to read her like a book and decipher her thoughts and intentions. We're going to learn how to read those little clues, those subtle hints that tell you what she's really thinking. Stay tuned as we break it down step by step. 1. It speaks volumes. All right, let's start with the basics. Body language. Is she standing tall and open, or is she closed off and turned away? Is she leaning in when you talk or leaning out? These are all little clues that can tell you a lot about how she's feeling. Crossed arms can be a sign that someone's feeling defensive or closed off, but it could also just mean they're cold. Look for those little cues, those subtle shifts in posture that can give you a glimpse into what's going on in that amazing brain of hers. Body language is a powerful tool, so pay attention. Once you start paying attention, you'll be amazed at what you can learn. It's like having a superpower, but instead of flying, you can read minds. Well, sort of. The key here is to be observant, but also to remember that everyone is different. What might mean one thing for one person might mean something completely different for another. So, use your best judgment and don't be afraid to ask for clarification if you're not sure about something. 2. The window to her soul. They say the eyes are the window to the soul, and let me tell you, it's true. Eye contact is like this direct line to someone's emotions. When she's looking at you, really looking at you, it means she's present, engaged, and interested in what you have to say. Now, I'm not saying she has to stare into your eyes like you're on a staring contest or anything, but if she's making eye contact, holding your gaze for a few seconds, it means she's connected. On the other hand, if she's constantly looking away, avoiding your gaze, it could be a sign that she's feeling uncomfortable, nervous, or maybe even hiding something. Eye contact can also be a sign of attraction. Have you ever noticed how when you're crushing on someone, you can't help but look at them? And when they look back, it's like fireworks. Anyway, the point is, pay attention to her eyes. They can tell you a lot more than words ever can. It's like having a secret language, but instead of speaking, you're just looking. 3. Listen up. Okay, so we've covered body language and eye contact. Now let's talk about another important aspect of communication: tone of voice. You know how you can say the same thing in a million different ways, and it can mean a million different things? Like if you say, "That's great," but you say it in a flat, monotone voice, it doesn't really sound that great, does it? But if you say it with enthusiasm, it takes on a whole new meaning. The same goes for when she's talking to you. Pay attention to the tone of her voice. Is she speaking softly or loudly? Is her voice high-pitched or low? Is she speaking quickly or slowly? These are all clues that can give you insights into her emotional state. So listen up. Her tone of voice can tell you a lot about what she's thinking and feeling, even if she doesn't say it directly. 4. Her face tells the story. Let's be honest, our faces are like giant billboards for our emotions. You can tell a lot about how someone is feeling just by looking at their face. Is she smiling, frowning, raising an eyebrow? These are all clues that can help you decipher her thoughts and intentions. A genuine smile, for example, is a sure sign of happiness and warmth. But a forced smile, well, that's a whole other story. And then there are the eyes. You can tell a lot about someone's mood by looking at their eyes. Are they sparkling with joy, or are they dulled with sadness? So the next time you're with her, pay attention to her facial expressions. Look for those little micro expressions, those fleeting moments of emotion that can reveal so much. 5. The art of nonverbal communication. You know how some people talk with their hands? Well, those people are on to something. Gestures are a huge part of nonverbal communication. They can emphasize our words, convey emotions, and even reveal hidden thoughts. For example, if she's twirling her hair while she's talking to you, it could be a sign that she's flirting, or it could just mean that she's fidgety. Context is key, people. If she's touching her face a lot, it could mean that she's nervous, or it could mean that her face itches. The point is, gestures can be tricky to decipher. But if you pay attention to her overall body language and the context of the situation, you can start to get a better understanding of what she's trying to communicate. 6. Give her some air. We all have our own personal space bubble, that invisible force field that surrounds us and protects us from the outside world. Some people have bigger bubbles than others, and it's important to respect those boundaries. If she's leaning away from you when you're talking, it could be a sign that she needs a little more space. And hey, that's okay. It doesn't necessarily mean she doesn't like you. It just means she needs a little breathing room. On the other hand, if she's constantly trying to get closer to you, leaning in when you talk, and maybe even touching your arm or shoulder, well, that's a pretty good sign that she's feeling comfortable and connected with you. So, pay attention to her cues. If she seems uncomfortable, give her some space. And if she seems open to closeness, well, don't be afraid to make a move. 7. What makes her tick? You know how sometimes you can just talk to someone for hours and never run out of things to say? And then there are other times when the conversation feels like pulling teeth? Well, that's because we all have different interests and passions. Pay attention to how she reacts to different topics of conversation. Does her face light up when you talk about certain things? Does she seem bored or disinterested when you talk about other things? These are all valuable clues that can help you understand her better. If you find a topic that she's really passionate about, let her talk. Ask her questions, listen attentively, and show genuine interest. People love to talk about things they're passionate about, and it's a great way to build a deeper connection. So the next time you're with her, pay attention to her reactions to different topics. You might be surprised at what you learn. 8. Decoding the digital language of love. Texting. The bane of modern romance. It's so easy to misinterpret tone and intention over text, isn't it? But don't worry, I'm here to help you crack the code. Pay attention to how often she texts you. Does she initiate conversations? Or does she only respond to your texts? Does she reply right away? Or does she take hours or even days to respond? Now, I know what you're thinking. Ellen, you can't read too much into texting habits, and you're right, you can't jump to conclusions. But her texting habits can give you some clues about her level of interest. If she's consistently initiating conversations and replying to your texts right away, it's a good sign that she enjoys talking to you and wants to keep the conversation going. But if she's always the one ending conversations and takes ages to respond, well, she might not be as invested as you are. So pay attention to her texting style. Does she use a lot of emojis, or is she more of a wordsmith? The key is to find a texting style that works for both of you. And if you're ever unsure about something, just ask. It's better to clarify than to make assumptions. 9. Find common ground. They say that opposites attract, and while that may be true in some cases, it's always helpful to have some common interests. After all, shared passions are a great way to bond and create lasting memories. So, how do you find out what she's into? Well, you could just ask her. But if you're looking for a more subtle approach, pay attention to the things she talks about. Does she light up when she talks about her favorite band? Does she get lost in thought when she's describing her latest art project? These are all clues to her passions. And once you've identified some common interests, don't be afraid to suggest doing something together. Go to a concert, visit a museum, or take a cooking class. So, don't underestimate the power of shared interests. They can be the foundation for a strong and lasting connection. And who knows, you might even discover a hidden talent or passion of your own along the way. 10. The inside scoop. Okay, so you've mastered the art of body language, eye contact, and tone of voice. You're practically a mind reader. But there's one more resource you can tap into, her friends and family. Now, I'm not suggesting you go full-on private investigator and start interrogating her inner circle, but if you have the opportunity to meet her friends and family, pay attention to how they interact with her. How do they describe her? What do they like to do together? Her friends and family can provide valuable insights into her personality, her values, and her quirks. Of course, it's important to take everything you hear with a grain of salt. Everyone has their own perspective, and her friends and family might not always see eye to eye with her. So the next time you have the chance to hang out with her crew, be observant, be respectful, and most importantly, be yourself. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned a thing or two about deciphering the mysterious language of women. Remember, communication is key in any relationship. So pay attention, be observant, and don't be afraid to ask questions. And most importantly, have fun. Relationships are supposed to be enjoyable. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more insightful content. See you next time.